Welcome to the Sent from Disneyland podcast.
Here age relives fond memories of the past.
If it's your first time joining us, welcome. On this episode, we'll take a journey into the past and explore Disneyland and Disneyland history with mementos, snapshots, and postcards sent from Disneyland from 1955 to the present. Today I'm starting off by thanking my patrons from patreon.com. You can join and receive mail from my desk or from my Disneyland trips. Special thanks to Random Olive, the first patron to this podcast, and to the e-ticket patrons Tania, Eric Daniels, Joe Gamble, Scott Booker, Monica Seitz Vega, Russ Romano, Michael and Christina Cross, Scott Cagle, and Sheila Harry. C-ticket patrons Serious Inquiries Only, Debbie Weinstein, Jennifer Schneep, Grace Coate, Brian Crawford, Ben and Noel Bruning, Patty Wolin, Angela Reynolds, and Aaron Moran. B-ticket patrons Jeff and Paige Orton, and Joshua, and Inexorable Tosh Bell. And the A-ticket patrons Elise Sharp, Zealot Infinity, Alexis Robles, Maggie and Henry Byers, the Disney Rewind podcast, Angel DeBlock, and the All Aboard podcast. You can also sign up for my new newsletter for a chance to get some postcards delivered by the USPS to your mailbox. I am your host, your post-host Clocky, and today we have 2 postcards sent from Disneyland. The front of our first postcard has Mickey Mouse leading the Disneyland band down Main Street. In the far background, you can see the omnibus heading towards Town Square, and to the right, if you look closely, you can see the old tobacconist shop next to the Main Street Cinema. On the back it reads, Mickey Mouse and Disneyland Band, led by the Magic Kingdom's #1 character, Mickey Mouse, the famous Disneyland band marches toward Town Square, where daily concerts and flag ceremonies have become a cherished tradition. It's postmarked June 7, 1971, with a Redlands cancel and 2 postage stamps, a 1-cent green Thomas Jefferson and a 5-cent blue George Washington postage stamp, Scott numbers 1278 and 1283 respectively. I assume they visit the park on Saturday, June 5, 1971, when park hours were from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. The weather was a high of 72 and a low of 49. It's addressed to a Mrs. George Simon of Saratoga, California. It reads, Saturday 5th. Thanks for sending a card. Jada in convalescent hospital now and doing as well as expected, and will probably be there for the rest of her life. Harvey is also in the same hospital. Love you, L. I chose this postcard because you can see the Main Street tobacco shop. From opening day until June 1990, there was a shop on Main Street called Fine Tobacco. The shop on Main Street would have fit Main Street well, as it was meant to look like a turn-of-the-century town. The shop is described in park maps as Tobacco Shop, tobaccos and smoking accessories from around the world, and remained on the maps through 1990, with the same description. The shop was located just past the Main Street Magic Shop and just before the Main Street Cinema as you were walking toward the Hub and Sleeping Beauty Castle. Smoking was permitted throughout the park, but discouraged while waiting in line, on attractions, and during shows. In the 1991 park map, it shows that the tobacconist was replaced by a shop called Great American Pastimes, with the description, hobbyists will love our baseball cards and sports memorabilia, although tobacco would still be available for purchase inside the park until 1999. Looking at a 1995 map, in the information section about smoking, it suggests, for consideration of others, we ask that guests refrain from smoking in all attractions, shops, restaurants, and popular open-air areas, e.g., walking areas, parades, stage shows, etc. Starting with the 2000 map, there were specific locations designated for smoking, near New Orleans Square Station, Big Thunder Trail, and an old information hub at the end of Main Street, which is where the Jolly Holiday Bakery is now. Over the next 20 years, smoking locations would slowly disappear from the park. Then, in 2019, smoking would be banned from the park and the resort. Now, if you need to smoke, you have to exit to Harbor Boulevard or outside of security at the end of downtown Disney. Great news! Enfield Post is back up on Etsy. Grabbing some vintage stamps is a great way to plus your mail, whether you're trying to match the color of your postcard or envelope or adding a themed stamp to the back of your mail. Be sure to check out Enfield Post. You can head over to EnfieldPost.com and explore all the different vintage stamps you can use on your next card or letter. That's ENFIELD POST on Instagram and EnfieldPost.com for your wedding and vintage postage needs. Enfield Post is the official postage stamp sponsor of the Sent from Disneyland podcast. The front of our next postcard has Mickey Mouse leading the Disneyland band down Main Street. Since it's the same as the first postcard, here's some other details. There's a garbage can on the curb outside of the Emporium, and a little green mailbox attached to a light pole near the garbage can. If you look closely, you can still see the Uptown Pharmacy sign. On the back it reads, Mickey Mouse and Disneyland Band. Led by the Magic Kingdom's #1 character, Mickey Mouse, the famous Disneyland band marches toward Town Square, where daily concerts and flag ceremonies have become a cherished tradition. It's postmarked August 1st, 1974, with a U.S. Postal Service airport mail facility cancel, and an 8-cent U.S. flag over the White House postage stamp, Scott number 1338F. I assume they visited the park on July 31st, 1974, when park hours were from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. The weather was a high of 84 and a low of 67. It's addressed to Miss Lala Parker of Arlington, Virginia. It reads, August 1st, 74. Dear Lala, this is the Disneyland professional band, not the college band Steve plays in, but he gives you the idea. He still loves it. Mother's doing fine here with us. She will visit Sue 2 weeks this month while we vacation 1. Love, Lucy. Some quick notes about this postcard. Although it has the same front as the first postcard, this is from a separate printing. The back of the first postcard has blue ink, and the back of this postcard has black. Also, for some more information about the Disneyland College Band, go back to episode 199, Sent with the All-American College Band, or go to DisneylandCollegeBand.com, a Daps Magic website for amazing college band content. Though I don't personally smoke, I do have a collection of smoking paraphernalia in my Disneyland collection. First is a little metal Zippo-style lighter. It's just 1.5 inches tall, with a shield decoration on the front that reads Disneyland. There's a white version of the castle on a blue background and the Gothic D over the center. It flips open like a Zippo lighter and has a small spinning tinder wheel next to a small eyelet where the wick would come out. I also have 2 ashtrays. The first is a circular ceramic white ashtray with a color illustration of Sleeping Beauty Castle in the center, and 3 gold-painted indents around the edge for placing cigarettes. The second is a metal circular tray with a raised design in the center, and around the circumference of the tray, the center is a raised design of Sleeping Beauty Castle, with the word Fantasyland written below. Around the castle is 4 sections divided by 4 indents for cigarettes. Above the castle is a depiction of Main Street, where you can see the Emporium on the left and some other shops on the right, with a blank flag flying on a flagpole in the center. On the right-hand side, there are 2 icons of Tomorrowland, the World Clock and the TWA Moonliner, with the letters TWA actually on the rocket. On the left-hand side, there's the entrance to Adventureland, with the 2 elephant tusks above the sign and some iconic bamboo features of the entrance. Below the castle is simply written the word Disneyland in the Gothic typeface. I assume this was made before New Orleans Square, but it's interesting to note that the ashtray does not have any Frontierland representation. It's made from very flimsy metal and was painted a silver color. On the back, I can see some paint flaking off. Also on the back is stamped Walt Disney Productions. This incoming postcard is sponsored by the Art Throwdown. Art Throwdown, or ATD, is an online craft hour on Instagram, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Be sure to check out Monday's ATD, which is usually hosted by paper artist Russ Romano. I've seen many amazing art projects, learned about awesome postmarks, postage stamp history, and a lot more on different episodes. It's great to stop in for an hour to watch someone craft or design something unique. Each host brings something a little different to each show. I'll list some of the regular hosts, or you can follow Russ Romano 2021 on Instagram. The front of my incoming postcard has a collection of stamps from the United Arab Emirates. On the bottom it reads, National Postcard Week, May 7th through the 13th, 2023. It's postmarked June 7th, 2023, with an Exchange Center Dubai cancel and 2 postage stamps, both with artistically drawn birds sitting on perches, one with a yellow background and one with a purple background. It reads, Dear Clocky, I designed this card using my favorite stamps from my personal collection. It was lots of fun to make. I hope this postcard reaches you safely. Happy National Postcard Week. Love and lights. Sarah. #ATD. Thank you so much for the postcard, Sarah. I've been going through my incoming mail and organizing my Disney office. This postcard is a good reminder to make postcards for National Postcard Week this year and send it out from the parks. I checked my schedule, and I'll either be able to send them out a few days before National Postcard Week or send some the week after. Thanks for listening to Sent from Disneyland. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and tell your friends. It would be helpful to share your favorite episode to a friend or on social media. There are over 200 to choose from. It would also help to leave a 5-star rating and comment at whatever podcast platform you use. If you'd like to support the show financially, please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/sentfromdisneyland. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Sent From Disneyland or on Twitter at Sent From Disney. For questions and comments, send me a postcard addressed to Sent From Disneyland, P.O. Box 44, Hood, California, 95639. This podcast is not affiliated with Disney, the United States Postal Service, or any post office or Disney properties. Opinions expressed on this podcast belong to its host and guests of the Sent From Disneyland podcast.